Okay, Doctor, I know you've been in China many times. I know you live in Hong Kong. Even you got your family in Hong Kong, right?
I lived in Hong Kong 96 to 98.
1960,
1996
1996.
to 1998. So I was there for the handover. So I was actually hired. I had a Hong Kong company purchase my events company. So that was the first merger and acquisition I did. They bought me out and they moved me to Hong Kong, and it was pretty neat because I got to live 5 weeks in Hong Kong and 10 days in LA, and I flew back and forth for 2 years. But I was hired, they purchased my company, and I was able to do the handover concert when Hong Kong was handed back to China in 97. So I got to produce that show.
I know you've been in China, so you try to speak in the Mandarin to me at the beginning. So, recent year, have you been back to China?
I haven't been since COVID. Prior to COVID, I used to go every February to Beijing, and I would teach entrepreneur courses for Chinese New Year. So the parents would always have the kids come to class during the holidays, and I would go to Beijing for 2 weeks every February and teach entrepreneur courses.
Okay, can I just call you Dr. Johnny?
Yes, of
Okay,
course.
Johnny. As a friend, I can call you Johnny. Okay, as you're currently special in business education for Chinese students, so what classes and opportunities are you offering that they cannot get in China?
Well, we're doing quite an elaborate list of classes in the sense that we're covering general ed classes, which would be humanities, history, political science, world religions. So the basic general ed courses we cover. So we have a certificate in general ed, which is preparing them so when they get to America, or if they have to study American courses, they're going to have those courses already. They'll be familiar with them. We do a business administration certificate, which covers, it's a 16-week certificate course. So they can get a certificate in 16 weeks. It has 5 classes. It has 2 8-week classes the first 8 weeks, and 2 8-week classes the second 8 weeks, and 1 full 16-week class. So it's 5 courses to get a certificate. The business administration includes an introduction to business administration, which is Management 1. It has a course on economics, a course on accounting, a course on finance, a course on entrepreneurship, and a course on marketing. And then you can switch them around. If somebody wants to focus on finance, they'll get the certificate in finance. It has 2 finance classes. If you want a certificate in accounting, it would have the main 3 classes in every business course is business administration, which is Management 1, marketing, and entrepreneurship. And then you choose what your major is. So if you want finance, you get 2 finance. You want accounting, you get 2 accounting, and so forth. But we offer about 20 different courses in business, and then we have the general ed courses, which I believe there's 7 of them, including Dr. Voss's critical thinking course.
That's certificated from UCIL, right?
It's through our university curriculum for independent learning, and as far as certification goes, in America it takes 5 years to get certified in order to transfer to a UCLA or a Harvard. You have to be up and running for 5 years. So right now we're accredited through a UK body and an Asia body. So within Asia and the UK we have the accreditations, and we're working on the 5 years of doing courses in order to get the US accreditations.
I think a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago, I visited your UCIL, your school.
You did, yes.
Yeah, I visited. I found you have a workshop for students.
Yes.
So your some students that still can come to United States to study. How do they can come? They just are for some school or they just for visit? How you do this? Could you a little bit explain that?
Yeah, we offer a couple different programs. We have the workshops like summer camps where people come out and they study here. We're connected with a couple different schools like language schools, ESL, for F1 visas to get students to come out to learn English and different programs like that. We also help with placement. So if a student wanted to go to a community college, like Irvine Valley College, where I also teach, we help get them into schools, or if they wanted to go to UCI, we have programs that help basically get them into the universities. So we also offer scholarships. So students that take our certificate courses. So if you take a certificate course with us and you have a 3.85 GPA, you can write an essay and apply for a scholarship. And we have a couple different scholarships options. And if you get a scholarship through us and you get accepted at UCLA, we'll help pay your tuition or at least get you started, like with a $3,000 US package to get you into the university and stuff like that. So we have scholarship programs to help you get into universities and things like that.
How the students, like the local students, the foreign students, they know you. What's your website? The title name? www?
It's www.ucileducation.org. Org.
O-R-G. Got you.
So ucileducation.org, and that's our main website, and that has our programs up there, our certificate programs, our independent courses. Dr. Voss's books are up there, and her courses are up there as well, Dr. Jeanette Voss.
So that's the scholarship is good. So hello everybody. We're not miss this. It's a good opportunity for Dr. Johnny Rock. Right now I'm interviewing Johnny Rock. Johnny Rock, not just like 4 years ago I interviewed him. That's a topic we call the from the rock and to the doctor. Yes, he's a musician, but right now he almost got 3 PhD. His school UCIL provide the scholarship. Don't miss it. www.ucileducation.org. Okay, I will go back to another. Do you have any plans to expand your business into another country?
Yes, we're actually on the 26th of November this month. I'll be in Korea. So our focus is Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Singapore, China, and Dubai. And again, we're working on the bridge students, so that the transition students, we call them bridge, that are going from, let's say, 17 to 20-year-olds that want university preparation. They want to take these classes in advance to get a feel for what it's going to be like. But we are focusing on, I have a real passion for Asia. I've spent most of my 12 years of traveling in Asia. I lived in India for 9 months. I lived in Hong Kong for a couple years. I've been going to Japan since 1992 and spent time in Korea, Indonesia, Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, Bangladesh, Nepal. So I have a passion for Asia, and our focus is the Asian countries. And I think we would also look at Philippines and Thailand as well for some education there. So we'd like to expand and just kind of get out there and get education out to the world. So,
Okay, may I ask you, Dr. Johnny, what's your foreign language? What's your first foreign language? You speak English, of course. So what's your foreign language? Italian?
I have a hard enough time speaking English.
Okay.
No, I'm Italian by heritage.
So your foreign language, your first foreign language is Italian?
Well, English, but my heritage, my mom and dad are from
You're just
Italy.
speaking.
So actually, all 4 of my grandparents migrated over from Italy to Ellis Island to New York, and I was born in New York and moved to California.
Yeah.
But
So which you like? You like New York more? Or you like the California?
California. I like
Carnival weather, beautiful.
Yeah, so
yes, good.
I'm an LA kind
So
of
I
guy.
ask you why you ask your foreign language because doing business in China and India and other foreign language countries creates a lead to overcome the barriers of the language, of the culture, finance, and local business practices. So how were you able to meet this challenge and be successful?
Back in, I think like 1996, the Orange County Register did an article on me, and they asked me a similar question.
Similar question, yeah.
But they asked me a couple of things. They said, well, how do you assimilate, or how do you, communicate when you're in these countries? And they actually coined me on this thing. I called it they called it the 3 R's of doing business in Asia, which was rapport, respect, and relationships. So when I started doing business in Asia, and I started picking up a few different languages. So I speak a little Bengali, not much, but I spent time in Bangladesh, and people in Calcutta also speak Bengali. And living in India for 9 months, I knew enough to tell a rickshaw driver "Aage Sita," go straight, make a right. So I started picking up little parts of languages, and what I found out is, especially in Asia, that doing business, when if you know a couple words, or at least you try, and you have decent pronunciation, it goes a long way. In China, I did take 2 years of Mandarin in community college for humanities, so my 我说的不好，我会是一点不懂啊。
Good.
But typically it's 我不知道，我不明白你说什么，你说。
Oh yeah, good.
But no, I tried to pick up a little bit of language, and also what's interesting, or I think interesting about Asia, is names. So when I'm doing business, I can look at names. If last name starts with an X or a Z, I know it's mainland China, or an LI, or an NG. Okay, that's going to be Cantonese, or Kim Park. Okay, now we got Korean. Lee kind of messes me up though.
I give you nickname, PhD Hunter. Because you got a lot of PhD. Even my first PhD, I'm not a starter. I started several times, but I just stopped it because I know it's a big challenge. I know that's a really challenge. A lot of people, my friends around me, they start a PhD, they cannot pass a final examination. Oh my gosh. So let's talk about Dr. Voss book.
Okay.
Because last time 4 years ago, you told me about her. You are a partner. You are a business partner. She's a little bit of the celebrity, education celebrity in China.
She is.
So I really want to, let's talk about the Voss book. Understand you are featured in her book. And it will be published in US December of the new book, and in China next year. What happened? What's that?
So Dr. Voss, her first book was entitled The Learning Revolution. And she sold over 10 million copies in China.
10 million copy in
10
China.
million copies
Wow.
in
What's the
China.
name of that book?
The Learning Revolution.
Learning
Revolution. And that was, I believe,
学习的革命.
probably.
So it is translated in Chinese or
Yeah.
Oh, 学习的革命. I think I saw somewhere I saw that.
It's pretty popular, and so she did that 15 years ago. And ironically, the way I met Dr. Voss is another partner of mine, Paul Webb, who he has a master's degree in NLP, neuro linguistic programming. So he teaches how the brain works. And he was a friend of Voss, Dr. Voss, and she was teaching a workshop in Shenzhen. And
Shenzhen. Okay, got you.
Yeah, by Guangzhou. And in 2015, I was invited to go out and attend her workshop. So that's when I first met Dr. Voss, and we ended up, partnering together. But the new book it's in the publisher right now in the U.S. So it's already it's going to be on Amazon and iTunes and Ingram and all the downloadable Kindles and everything in December. So it's basically about ready to go.
I know your philosophy about your education, about your textbooks. Could you a little bit, because I'm not really to read the Dr. Voss book. So could you tell me what's the main philosophy concept about the book, Learning Revolution?
Well, the first one was called The Learning Revolution, which was 10 million copies sold.
Yeah.
It's been 15 years. The new one is called The Self-Learning Revolution.
Oh,
Because
self-learning
now,
revolution.
the difference between now and 15 years ago is everybody's an entrepreneur now. And it's about self-learning. So her new series, and I believe there's either 6 or 8 books in it. The first book, the one that's being published now, that's basically will be out in December in the U.S., and it'll be out in March in China. There's 2 publishers that are looking at it now. So one of the 2 publishers we're going to go with in China is about self-learners. And I have a self-learning, yeah. So
okay.
where the first one was the learning revolution, how people learn, and now it's about how me and you learn as individuals, because we have, as I mentioned earlier, with innovation and technology, it's just amazing that anyone can be an entrepreneur. I mean, the world's a small place now because of technology, right? We can sell in China, we can sell in Russia, we can be part of anyone's world right now because of technology. So the self-learning revolution is about how to be a self-learner and critical thinking skills. And my story's in there of how I started as a self-learner, and it started at childhood, right? We have our stories. So I go through my experience from childhood up until now, present day, how I'm still self-learning. And Dr. Voss started the book. There's also a very famous influencer in China named Destiny Zhao. She's in the book too, and she's out of Beijing, and she has a very big following in China. And her self-learning stories in there. And her dad was actually one of the first marketing professors at the very famous Beijing University, and it starts with a T. I don't know how to pronounce it. What's it called? What's the #1 university in Beijing?
Beijing University.
It starts with a T though. TS.
Tsinghua.
That's
Tsinghua University.
Yes.
Tsinghua is that's for science more. But Beijing University, like the Harvard University in the United States, Tsinghua a little bit like the Stanford University in the United States. Yeah, it's a top 1, top 2. Sometimes there are some subjects, science and liberal arts are different. Okay, so I really wanted to ask you a question. How do your concept about the self-learning? Self-learning, I'm not got a PhD, but I'm the host, a TV host, an MC. If I don't have the self-learning, I cannot grow up. So I have to increase. I have to read a lot of books. I have to watch a lot of video. So that's I can do much more. So I think self-learning to myself, that's very important. I want to know, Dr. Johnny Rock, what's your concept about self-learning?
Well, I think, and I feel strongly about this, I think one of the best educations you can get is traveling. And, me going out and traveling Asia as a bass player, back in 1992, opened up a world of experiences to me. And, especially when you get out in undeveloped countries, you go out in India and stuff like this, and you learn different cultures and you learn how to do things differently. And a lot of it's street smart, right? You can't get it from a book. You got to go out and experience it. So as a self-learner, I mean, that's what we're all about. We see opportunities, we see problems, and we come up with ways to fix things or to work through problems. And what's kind of funny is, like, as an entrepreneur, when I teach my entrepreneur classes, people always ask, what happens when you fail, right? And as self-learners, failing is growing. So you learn by your mistakes, right? And you can either quit, oh, I failed, I'm done, or you can take that experience and make it right? Your self-learning, critical thinking skills. Well, why did I fail? Well, what can I do to fix it? So the entrepreneur, when he fails or she fails, they work around the problem. They figure it out, right? They use critical thinking skills to say, okay, this didn't work, but how do I fix it? And I'll give you an example because I told you I'm into real world stuff. So when I first went out and set up stadium shows in India, I always wanted to play a 50,000 seater. I mean, as a musician, you want to be famous, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to go out and do that, but nobody would do that for me. So I put together some working capital in America. I went out to India. I rented a stadium, and I sold 15,000 tickets at $3 a ticket, right?
15,000 tickets. Wow.
And the cool thing is 12 million people watched us on TV. So 12 million. So it was during the World Cup in '94. Our show was broadcasted, during parts of the World Cup. So I was an entrepreneur, and I set up 3 shows in India. The first 2 were phenomenal. And the third show got wiped out by a monsoon or typhoon, whatever it was, and I lost everything because I had 23 people on the road. I had sound engineers, I had dancers, I had musicians, I had seamstress, choreographers, and I lost everything. So as an entrepreneur, do you quit? You don't, right?
No. You have to do your business.
Critical thinking skills.
You have to survive.
You got to figure out what works. So I knew I loved doing stadium shows, and I loved doing what I did. But the next thing was, okay, I can't be a promoter because I'm a risk taker, and I lost. I lost everything. I was successful for a time. So as a critical thinker, entrepreneur, using critical thinking skills, I said, okay, well, why don't I just be a guy for hire? Because I know how to set up stadium shows, and that's how I got the opportunity to do the handover concert in Hong Kong. I was hired by a company to be the guy that, hired the talent, put together the sound systems, and do everything. And I did Macau, and I did, Korea and other countries. So I went from being a risk taker, and when I lost everything, I took the risk and I failed. I was successful for 2 shows. Then I became okay, I love what I'm doing. So critical thinking skills say, do what you do, but charge a fee to do it. And then I became a guy that was hired to do shows. So if that answers your question, that's what you do.
You're thinking about the self-learning.
Yeah.
I like it. Because everybody Chinese people, when I was young, we're learning their slogan, or you can see everybody know. I don't know where it is, these words come from. They say, fail is the mother of the success.
Yeah.
失败是成功之母. So everybody, when I was young, high school students would know the slogan. Okay, I want to ask you a question. What's your plan? Have you planned to go back to China? Okay, what's your future plan? What do you want to do? I really know you're a musician. You have the new album come from. You are working with a celebrity musician. You will have a lot of plan. The business, of course, your basic, your UCIL. Yeah, that's your very major business. So what's your future plan?
Well, I love China. I love Asia. But with COVID, I still can't go back in, right?
Oh, okay.
Still quarantined. I actually own what they call a WOFE. I own a wholly foreign-owned enterprise. So in Shanghai, actually I'm in People Square, my office. I've had it since 2017. I have an education company in China that is a Chinese corporation owned by an American company, which is me. So I have that, but I And really, it's like if I do workshops in China, at least I can do things legally in China, right? Because I have a Chinese corporation, but I haven't been there since COVID. So my plans for China is eventually when I can go back and do business, and I'll be there. But otherwise, I'm doing Korea in a couple weeks, Japan, Singapore, Taiwan. So just basically getting back into the swing of things. But I think COVID
really bother people.
Yeah,
Really, start set up the not going on, not you completely can do what you want to do, right?
Yeah, because I used to go to China. I mean, typically every 6 to 8 weeks, I would fly in, do a workshop in Shanghai. I do Shenzhen, Shanghai, and Beijing. So I would fly in, teach, do a weekend workshop, come home. And even with our online university, part of the university is we teach once a week online, just like I do here in America. I'm teaching at Westcliff University. I teach at Irvine Valley College, which that one's face-to-face. But for the online university, when we teach courses abroad, so when I'm setting up in China, we'll have 1-hour courses once a week that are archived on Zoom. So if the students don't make it, and I'm teaching in China hours, so it might be my 2 in the morning, which is they're 5 in the afternoon. So it's all worked out to work around the schedule of the local cities. But it's also set up to do 2 face-to-face during the 8-week period where I fly out, and meet the students and actually teach 1 live class twice during an 8-week period, and then once a week teach our live, and then there's a live part of us teaching. But I guess once the world opens up and the restrictions on COVID are a little bit better, then we'll probably expand that as well.
Do you miss your being musician? Do you still find the time to play guitar?
Well, I'm a bass guitar player and I love music, and I'm really not that good of a player, but I love music, and being in the music business for 12 years, I have a bunch of great, really good musicians that have played with a lot of famous artists. So to answer your question, I still play. And I'm actually working on an album that were songs that I wrote some years ago that my friends in the music business have decided that they would like to help me and play on my album. So in March, we're going to be releasing an album, and the project's called JMP. It's the Johnny Mandola Project, and I'll be releasing it to the world.
Okay, before I let you go, I want you to talk to our audience about your concept, your Texas book. I want you to say again, and what do you want to tell? Because when our TV station, we have a lot of your fan and our audience. Please.
What I enjoy most and what sets me apart from other professors is the fact that most professors, they live their life, or their job is to teach from a textbook, because that's all they've ever done. They've been a university professor. What I bring to the table, what's different about me, is I make the textbook come to life by giving you reality. So I've lived the textbook. So when we talk about marketing, I'll show you marketing campaigns and all these different things that are in the textbook. I make the textbook come to life. So teaching is my hobby, and I just really enjoy sharing with people and bringing people's passions out and showing them how to make things happen and how to basically get what they're looking for in life. Because if you're going to work, you might as well enjoy what you're doing, and I want to help you do that.
Okay, everybody. And for your school, I interviewed Dr. Johnny Rock, and today I interview him again about his books, his plan, his education, and his UCIL. Don't forget the website is www.ucileducation.org. And like today, I learned the learning revolution and the self-learning. Like when I was a child, I always learned in the 21st century, if you don't master self-learning, you can get it. So today I really, really learned out something. So thank you coming my
Thank you for
program,
having me.
my teacher. Thank you, Johnny.
再见。